What's up, Miniature Mike Monologue? Welcome back to the Miniature Mike Monologue. You know, just before this, I was contemplating, should I be like, what's up, Miniature Mike Monologuers? What's up, my monologuers? Okay. Anywho, I was saying earlier, it's always so interesting to me that I will sit down to film a podcast episode on a June gloom day or a regular gloom day in LA that's not in June. And as soon as I sit down to film the episode, the sun comes out. Interesting. Anyways, we're moving on. In today's episode, I am going to be talking about mine. Look at this. Look, I just remembered this. This says Jiana. This is Jiana's podcast where she's talking about Jiana's experiences in Jiana's life. This has nothing to do with you. Nothing. This is about Jiana Renee Lawson. 1 month and 2 days out from being a 23-year-old young black woman. These are about my experiences, okay? Crystal clear, are we? Are we monologuers? Yeah? Okay, good. Anywho, this is about my experience or my experiences thus far in life being the gifted friend. And I hesitated to even put the word friend in this title or in this podcast because, you know, being gifted in the context that I am talking about it, which I will get to describing in a little bit, often means you don't have a lot of friends, you know, because people want you to be in their presence and be around them in whatever arena it is that you're in, whether it's school, whether it's athletics, whether it's work, whatever it is. They want you to be there because your presence bears gifts. It bears the gift, obviously. And it is because of the gift that I have been perceived as and treated as and regarded as admirable in many different ways. But it is that same admiration that those same people who wanted me in the room have for me that is also the reason that they don't want me in the room. Does that make any sense? Another way to say that is because my presence bears the gift, and because my gift exposes the lack thereof, you could say, in the presence of other people, my presence is requested and at the same time repelled by the people that request it because I point something out in them without doing anything that they have been trying to push down in themselves. And oftentimes that's an insecurity that can relatively simply be addressed and worked through. And I only say that because I have had to do it. I'm currently doing it and I will continue to do it until I die because insecurities are an indication that we are human. I said that in my last podcast. But yeah, the point being the gifted friend, the gifted kid, is a very lonely experience. And a lot of people who would say that they're not gifted, which is a whole nother topic that I could get into because I think labeling someone that despite whether or not they have the gift is not relevant. It's about the reason for the label and what the label has been allowed to become in American society. Moving on. A lot of people who would say that they're not gifted will use the presence of the gift in me or somebody else that has a gift, which is everybody, just to be clear, will use the presence of the gift in me to justify my suffering in isolation because I have a gift that they don't. No, just no. That logic, it's like looking at two people who have broken toes in the ER and saying to the person whose toe is broken because they stubbed it in an accident, you don't need to come back as fast because this person also broke their toe, but they broke it because somebody rolled over it. And it being rolled over does not increase the severity of the breakage. The x-rays were taken. The toe bone damage is exactly the same, but because you only stubbed your toe, you can wait. You don't have to walk. It's fine. It's fine. Be so for real right now. My experience, and I talked about this in another episode and I can't remember which one it was, but my experience in terms of how I choose to position myself as it relates to perspective and views, where it's like, this is extreme number 1, this is extreme number 2, and I'm like, hey, I'm right here. I think context for the reason that I am in the middle, that I didn't even consider before I sat down to film this episode, thank you, Holy Spirit, was that I was kind of put in that position because of the way that my gift has marginalized me. You wouldn't think being gifted is a marginalizing experience, but it is, because people would rather opt into creating the illusion of the presence of a gift, which often results in success, than cultivating the gift that's been given to them. And so when someone who's cultivated the gift that has been given to them comes into the presence of those who have cultivated an illusion of a gift that has not been given to them, they are vexed. They are hurt. They are immediately insecure, and they often rationalize their choices by what is this that I'm trying to say? Not exercising, but exiling the one who has done what they were supposed to do with the gift and cultivate it. Again, this is about me. This is my experience. So, I mean, the problem with that is that it's wrong. End of discussion. Because although I am gifted, I am first human. And like I said, we all have our insecurities. But the problem with that part too is that this was happening to me when I was in the most formative years of my life. I'm going to go ahead and dock off at the age of 12 and end at the age of 21. And I'm about to be 23. So it's like, this has been happening for quite some time, right? But the problem with that is people who are in position, and I say that because I mean physically, they are an authority above me, they are a peer of mine, or they are someone looking up to me because they're younger than me or something like that. People in those positions have taken my presence and used it as an exercise of personal justification. Or they acknowledge the gift in word. They dismiss it 10,000 times over in deed, and then acknowledge it again in word when I confront them about the way that they're treating me. And for a young Black only child, little girl, that is, for any young person, but we are talking about me, for any young person, the consistency at which I experienced that level of treatment. And I want you to listen to the word that I just said, because it's treatment, because the word that should have been there was relationship, but I don't consider that relationship. These are people I'm supposed to be having relationships with. These are people I'm supposed to be trusting. These are people I'm supposed to be confiding in. These are people I'm supposed to be developing long-lasting friendships with, that are supposed to be guiding me and helping me on my faith walk and reminding me that I am who I say that I am when this world gets loud and ugly and tells me that, oh, I'm not. But no, these people were the exercisers of a treatment that I would prescribe as being the main dosage of my experience with humans over the last, what was that age range? Over almost 10 years of my life. And for that to be the main experience that I have with people who aren't my family is understatedly an extremely desensitizing and unstabling experience. I don't even know if unstable experience. You know exactly what I'm trying to say. Okay? And so it was already increasingly difficult for me because I'm a Christ follower, and that vexes people alone. And I'm not just a Christ follower in word, I'm a Christ follower in deed. So, for example, the fact that I don't practice cursing gets so many people. People would get offended by the fact that I don't do it. And I'm like, what does this have to do with you? Like, I'm not condemning them for cursing. I'm just simply not doing it. But do you see how me simply not doing it in the presence of people who do it all the time, they basically breathe curse words. Do you see how my presence just vexes them enough to want to exile me, but at the same time welcome me in because it's what they're supposed to be doing? Like, I'm not a supposed to project. I'm not a inclusivity grab. I'm you, except I was born at a different time in a different place, and we are now in the same space. That's how I view other people. We don't have the same parents. We don't have the same context. We don't have the same upbringing, but you have the same amount of value that I do because Jesus died on the cross for us both. So I don't appreciate being marginalized, because that's really what it is. Being marginalized because I have a gift. I don't. And I don't accept the explanation that, well, it's hard to be around you because you're good. Make different choices. My goodness, the presence of my gift, the overflow of my gift is a result of my hard work. Yes, I am naturally really athletic, and I trained the crap out of my 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22-year-old body to be as excellent as I was in the weight room and on the volleyball court. This gift did not come without work. So I will not accept your acceptance of mediocrity because I chose excellence and it makes you mad because you didn't choose it and now you're made aware of it because I'm here. Absolutely not. And so it doesn't get any easier to exist in spaces that are extremely dominated by, calling them PMS, okay? Predominantly mediocre spaces. So my existence in PMSs, predominantly mediocre spaces, gets increasingly more difficult because I'm not willing to let you walk all over me because my presence makes you feel bad about yourself. Okay? So what goes from being a lonely, isolating, and destabilizing experience turns into a lonely, isolating, destabilizing, and extremely aggravated existence for me, because I'm like, the audacity of you to choose to occupy a mediocre space in this world and attempt to be prejudiced towards me because I decided I wanted to be excellent, and then attempt to make me feel bad because you feel bad about a choice you could have made. And let's be for real, you could still make about being excellent, is not going to cut it with me. It's not. So now not only do people not want to be around me because I bring the insecurities that are in them out of them because I have been given multiple gifts. Athletics was just one example. I have been given multiple gifts and I actually train and use and work them. Not only do people not want to be around me because of that, but they are now scared of me because I will not let you treat me like a doormat. Because last time I checked, I cut this finger trying to clip my nails, okay? Got a hangnail, whatever you want to say. There was blood in there. Last time I checked, I was human. So absolutely not. You are not going to mistreat me because you were uncomfortable with the proportion of the gift that God gave to me. Go take it up with him. But before you do that, why don't you take it up with yourself, the choices you've made about choosing to occupy a PMS and be okay with it? Because you were okay with it until I got here. And let's be so for real. I didn't bother you. I don't like to talk to people like that. I did not bother you. I didn't say anything rude. I didn't say anything unkind. I didn't vex you. I didn't gossip about you because first of all, I don't care. I don't care. I was raised in a home full of love and love and love and love and love. And because of that, I am naturally joyful and I really am content being by myself. Also because I'm an only child. So I'm very independent. Okay? Very independent. So I don't give a darn what you're doing. I really don't. But in the instance that we are on a team together and your choice to be mediocre is now hurting the team, I'm going to say something. Because I like to win. And you can say that you like to win all day, but if you don't like to touch the line every single time we have to run lines, that's going to piss me off. And it has every right to piss me off. And you have no added rights to be upset with me for being upset with you about something that you did to offend the team that I decided to speak out about because it's me, the one with the gift, speaking out about it. No, no, and no. So what I'm trying very hard to describe to you is the last 9 years of my life. And I think that I can empathize with the envy of my position because sometimes I will look back at the things that I've done. Like I'll get a glimpse, let's say, and it's like I'm looking at my Instagram, for example, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm me for one weird second. And then it's like I'm perceiving me through my Instagram and I'm like, whoa, I can empathize with feeling envy because I appear to have something that you don't, because I've felt that as it relates to other people before, but I've never felt that. And I can say this with all of my chest. And it is true. As God sits on the throne, I have never taken my envy about something that somebody else has that I want and said and done something with it as it relates to that person to make them feel like who they are is not who they are. I have never, ever, 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 as God is my witness, done that to someone. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. You want to know why? Because people have been doing it to me my whole life. And I am so aware of all the micro ways that it can come out. The macro ways are pretty obvious. People can't get away with those anymore. It's the micro ways. It's the micro aggressions. And so I am so aware of what it looks like in every aspect of my life that I spend a lot of time in. So I know that I haven't done it. Because if I am envious of you, guess where I'm going to deal with it? To my house to talk to the Lord about why I feel this way. Because and I'm going to be 100% honest with you, again, I haven't really felt envious of many people for a lot of things because of the position that I was put in with my gift. Okay? Like, I haven't. But that doesn't mean that I haven't wanted something that I didn't have. Whatever it is that I wanted that I didn't have, I did not decide that I was going to make the person who had it feel less than because I didn't have it. Because they don't know me. They don't care. And they are not worse because they have it and I don't. And you are not worse because they have it and you don't. So what I am trying to say is that when I have been envious, and as God sits on the throne, ever since I was a little girl, if I wanted something that somebody else had, first, I probably got it because I asked my mom or my grandma or my grandfather or my dad or my stepmom, and they bought it for me. Okay? There's number one. Number two, I was willing to put in the work to get what they had that I wanted because I was like, if they're doing it, that means I can too. Like, that is the most Jiana characteristic. Anybody in my family will tell you that if I want something, I am willing to work to get it. Because things stop being so accessible as you get older as going and buying the next Barbie doll. It becomes harder. I was willing to work for whatever I wanted. And if I didn't want it, I wasn't going to be envious about it. I wasn't going to beat somebody up about it that had it that I didn't because I didn't make the choice to go after it. I was going to be content and move on. You can call all of my family members. I will give you all of their phone numbers and they will all tell you that what I just said is true. You can ask God, okay? Just ask him because that... I don't know why that is part of who I am, but it is. I want to know the main example of that in my life. The main example, volleyball. Volleyball. I was not a volleyball player in high school. I was not. I became a volleyball player my freshman year and then turned into one by the time that I was 16 or 17. And now I'm messing with nerdy specifications and qualifications, what it means to become a volleyball player and holistic skill, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But my point is, everybody else that played at the Division I level had been playing since they were in single digits. I didn't start playing till I was almost 15. And I got to the Division I level. You want to know why? Because I saw Jiana and Stanford make the craziest run of all time to the national championship. And I said, I want that. I did. And so my mom let me try out for the volleyball team. I worked my tail off to make a black team my 14th year. I worked my tail off to be a 3-time varsity starter and letter winner the next 3 years at my high school. I worked my tail off to be on every top team that I was for the club the next couple of years. I was requested to be on the Arizona High Performance team for 2 years in a row. And I was recruited heavily out of high school, out of my first time in the transfer portal and out of my second time in the transfer portal because I was willing to work. All of the odds were stacked against me. And the primary reason I succeeded is because of God. End of story. The secondary reason I succeeded is because I put in the time. Faith without works is dead. You couldn't catch me not in the gym. You couldn't catch me not in the gym. My mom basically lived at Sporting Chance. She lived there because I was always doing extra reps. I was always going early. I was always asking Noelle to stay and do something with me so I could get better at the ball. I was always trying to stay and do whatever the other girls were doing because I was going to be a Division I volleyball player. And hello! I was willing to work for it. So stop patronizing people who are willing to work for it because you're not. Stop patronizing people because they were giving something that you weren't given. And you're not even recognizing what you were given that they don't have. And even if they do have it, they can't show up with it like you can because God gave that gift to you for a reason. God gave this gift to me for a reason. So don't hate me for it. Go figure out what yours is. Go figure out what yours is. And stop expecting me to concede because you are unwilling to go figure out and work on your gifting. Get out of my face with that. Get out of my face with that. I will never, ever, ever have you see you want to know something about me? My mom is Kareem Copeland. I'm not doing that. That's, if you don't know what you need to know by that statement, then you don't need to know. But my mom is Kareem Copeland, and I will not concede to you because you feel less than. Get up and work. Do something. Make a choice. Do whatever you want to do. Work on it. Who cares if people are watching? Who cares if people are supporting? It's for you. Do it. Do it. All right. I've been real hype for far too long. But I don't think there's any other way to encapsulate my experience being the gifted friend, because once I learned that these people had the gall to try to treat me badly because they weren't willing to work hard, or they weren't willing to recognize the gifts that they had, they were just willing to antagonize me for the ones that I had. I was like, you people are crazy. And I've never fought a day in my life, but I'm about to knock all you out in 15 seconds. Like, the level of anger that 9, almost 10 years of experience has caused me is insane. It's insane. Like, it is simply just how God made me, and I am living it out, and you could make that choice also. So what I'm trying to encapsulate, other than my experience, because that's basically what this podcast is like, is that despite all of that negative feedback, it wasn't even negative. It was so wishy-washy. The feedback that I was getting was so wishy-washy that it makes you just want to, like, poof, disappear, go to heaven, like, legit, because you're like, I would rather not be around anyone ever or do anything again ever if this is how everybody's going to treat me. Despite all that, here I sit, and absolutely, yeah, I'm proud of me. Oh yeah, I am so proud of me, because people are nasty. And I think what gets me is that because I was quiet so many times when people were being so wishy-washy with me, with the intent to try to confuse me and make me feel like I shouldn't be in the spaces that I'm in, or the gift that I have I shouldn't share. For the amount of time that people have done that to me, and I have peeped it, and I have said nothing, and I have just prayed for them. I can say that I probably should have done it more, but I did pray for them. And I loved them, and I supported them, and I was there for them. Because if you haven't really picked up on it yet, most of these people were my teammates. Anyways, for the amount of information that I knew, and I'm a very discerning person. That's a gift the Lord has given me. I can discern people real well. Okay, so 9.999999998 out of 9.9999999 times that you were trying to be ugly to me, I peeped it. I sure did. And I peeped the reason. I peeped the amount of times. And I knew exactly why you were doing it, because the Lord, he be talking in his ear. He just be telling me stuff. And you know what I did? I felt compassion for you. I did. And I chose to continue to love you as if I were experiencing what you were experiencing, because that is the assignment of the cross. That is being with a Christian. And I just want to say that if you have ever had an experience similar to mine in any way, all of your feelings are valid. It took me 4 years almost to come to terms with the fact that what I was feeling was okay, because the way that I felt about the way that I was being treated made me feel like I wanted to treat those people the same way. It did. But then the first thought that came to my mind every time was, ew, no, now I'm them. Ew, no. Literally, if I ever came close to ever telling somebody off, all I thought was, oh, look, it worked. You've turned into them. And then I kept my mouth shut. Respectfully. No cute Christian qualm or nothing. I was like, I will never, ever be you. Ever. And to be honest, yeah, it worked. It worked because all of those people, all of them to whom I'm referring, when I had my last interaction with them in the space that they were most jerky to me, they couldn't say anything about me but what was true. Because I never did to them what they did to me, or allowed the lies that they tried to tell me about me, which were really just an iteration of the lies that they were telling themselves about themselves. I never allowed them to dirty the truth that I knew that I had about who I am and who God has called me to be. I never let any of that affect me. I never let it change how they treated me. And it was by the strength of the Holy Spirit. Ain't no doubt about that, because people are crazy. You don't get it. People are crazy. But all I'm trying to say is that your feelings are valid. Feel them. Scream them towards heaven. Scream them towards the Lord. Say everything you need to say. Process them. And then remember that you are also human. You are not just your gift. As much as people just try to make you seem like that and feel like that, because all they can see is the fact that you have a gift, you have a gift, you have a gift, you have a gift, and it's shining so bright, and my light is so dull. And it's like, girl, okay. I also like to drink matcha. Did you care about that? Like, I'm not just this bright, blaring symbol reflecting your insecurity. I'm a person. And I have a right to feel some way about the way that you've treated me, unbeknownst, which is rarely ever the case, or beknownst to you, because I am human. And I like to drink matcha, and I like to go to the beach, and I like to read, and I like to have friends. And your attempt to deny me the ability to have friends in something that I've worked so hard to be so good at, because I'm so good at it, is in vain. I would be lonely without true friends for as long as I had to be in college, which was like 3.5 years. I would be that lonely again, because I would never want to be in the company of someone who was willing to destroy somebody else's gift in the name of forsaking the development of their own. I would never do that. And I think back on all the times that I was going through this, and I was so like feeling just so conflicted. Like, conflicted is the main way to describe it. When I was feeling so conflicted, it was always like the Holy Spirit was reminding me that, first of all, we know the Bible says that if they hated me, of course the world will hate you also, which was kind of like a little, like, that's how that felt at the end of the day, even though I knew it was true. But he just kept reminding me as I kept deepening my relationship with him. Like, had I not been so lonely, I would not have become as reliant on Christ as I am right now. I wouldn't. And I wouldn't have attracted the friends that I had. I wouldn't have attracted or won't attract the opportunities that I am about to attract and will continue to attract. Because as I grew in relationship with him in that time where I felt forsaken, where I felt lonely, where I felt like nobody was for me, and this has nothing to do with my mother and my family, because, well, of course they were for me, but they weren't with me at college. But for as long as I felt that and kept bringing it to God, I would be in my scripture reading about how they treated Jesus, and I'd be like, that sounds like what happened to me yesterday. And obviously not exactly the same thing, but he would just begin to reveal to me, like, I know what you're going through, because people treated me like that, obviously, and worse, because we know what the side of the cross was. But it was such an intimate exchange of, girl, I know. There's a reason not every single thing or every single feeling that Jesus felt was in the Bible, because some things are meant to be discovered in the intimate places of pain and suffering that we experience as humans. And in those places of intimate pain and suffering as humans, I found strength in who God created me to be, because he was like, dude, you wouldn't believe if I told you what these Pharisees were saying to me while I was trying to eat my bread. You won't believe it. You just won't. And I was like, what? What? And so I'm like over here like, okay, I'm still mad, but I'm gonna keep it pushing because you get me. You get me. And there are no words to explain the shared intimacy of suffering and the shared intimacy of suffering with your creator. You can't explain that. You can't fabricate that. You can't duplicate that. You have to experience it. And did I want to experience it? Absolutely freaking not. But would I change what I have experienced? Absolutely freaking not. Because I wouldn't be settled with the gifts that I have, prepared to give out more and do everything that God has called me to do and to be and to become, had I not. So long freaking story short, very long freaking story short, being the gifted friend is lit. And if people are mad, just remember that they're mad for a reason and they can stay mad, okay? No, I'm kidding. I shouldn't promote that. But they can stay mad. They can stay mad. Because trust me, you get in that intimate place with the Lord, forget it. Forget it. Everything that they meant for evil will turn for good. Everything that they meant for evil towards me has turned for good. Benefits upon benefits, strength and character upon strength and character, joy in little things upon joy in little things, the ability to be able to do something with myself after I finished college and not be dependent on the results or the words or the affirmations of others and know who I am. Just all of it will pay off. So as much as you probably don't want to hear this, girl, let them talk. Let them yap. Let them say whatever. Let them do whatever, because your gift is yours and yours alone. And the Lord will hold you through whatever suffering he has called you to. And when he decides the time is right, it will make so much room for you that every single one of those enemies will have to be seated at the table in silence. Like we said, we chose earlier when you were hurting and then you screamed towards the Lord and then you came back and you were silent and you were loving and you were caring and compassionate. They will sit there mute because he prepares a table for us in the presence of our enemies, and all of them gonna be there. Okay, that's it. I'm done talking. I've been talking for too long. And I said something about bread earlier, and then I remembered that I put this bread in the microwave earlier, and I never took it out. So I'm going to go eat that. Anyways, I don't even know if this podcast did anything for y'all, but I really hope it did. I always go in with the intention that it did, and I hope that what I said was clear, and I hope that you could relate and you felt seen if you hadn't been before, because been there, done that. Okay, that's it. I love you. Bye from me and my ring.